Once you have an area in Photoshop that you'd like to clone, the first thing you need to do is select the clone stamp tool. You can do this one of two ways. You can either click on the little stamp underneath the brush tool, or if you hit S on your keyboard, it will also select the clone stamp tool. So the first thing from here is you need to set a source point. It's essentially the area that you'd like to start cloning. To do this, place your cursor on the area of the image that you'd like to clone, and then press and hold Alt on your keyboard. You'll notice a bullseye appears in place of your cursor. Once you see this, left click on the area that you'd like to start cloning. This basically locks in what's called your clone source or your clone sample. So from here, no matter where I move my mouse, it's going to show me that exact place that I held Alt and clicked. And basically, you just left click and paint like you would your paintbrush using your paint tool. And you'll notice that as I do, a crosshair follows me, and that crosshair is showing me where on the original part of the image the middle of my brush is cloning. And once you've copied over your whole original source, you now have an exact replica of that original area that you wanted to clone. It should be noted that in some cases, alt-clicking every few pixels to select a new clone source might be necessary in order to completely clone an area. Usually this is done if you are cloning a very big area, so don't be afraid to do this as you work your way through the area that you'd like to clone. So the first option that you can choose is the brush option. So this is essentially the same tool set of options that you would use if you were using your brush tool. So up at the top here, right beside the little image of the clone stamp tool, you could select that downwards arrow and choose whether or not you want a soft or hard brush, or you can change the size just up here, or you can change the hardness right below that. Or I generally find myself just right clicking in the document window, and that will open that same area as well. The last option that you could do is on your keyboard, the square brackets, they also serve to increase or decrease the size of your brush. And you may find that you want a bigger or smaller brush size as you work through cloning your original area. The next tool option is the clone source panel. In the options panel, or the options bar, it looks like a man inside a folder. If you click on this icon, it will open up what's called the clone source panel. In here, we're mainly focused on three areas. The first area is up here. It's called the clone sources area. Basically, what it allows you to do is set 5 different beginning clone areas. In order to do this, you click on whichever clone source that you would like to set, and then you just rinse and repeat the alt click. And what that does is it sets different areas that you would like to continuously keep cloning. The next area is concerned with scaling your clone. So you can adjust both the width and the height of the cloned area. So in this case, I'm just going to take my cloned area down to 50%, and you'll notice that both the width and the height change at the same time. That's because this little link is selected. If I were to unselect that so it wasn't dark gray, I'd be able to change these two settings individually. In this case, I'd like to keep it. Once you set it, you can hit enter, and then you'll notice that the size of my actual clone ends up 50% the size of the original area. The last area in the clone source panel is the clone rotation area. So this basically allows you to change the rotation as you clone your original area. I'm going to set it to 45 degrees. Again, once you set the number, you can hit enter and it will set the rotation. I'm going to choose a new area to clone, and you'll notice as I clone that area, it's actually going ahead and spinning my original area, or my new clone source, 45 degrees from how the original layout was. The last option that we're willing to change in the clone tool is the opacity. So you'll find that up in the options toolbar, options menu bar. Same as everything else, you can click on it or double click on it and change the value. or you can choose the drop down arrow and just slide the value up and down. What this does is it allows me to copy the clone source, but not at full value. So it'll copy it 50% see-through. In the case of what I'm showing you, it's 40% see-through. So when it copies it, it'll come in a little bit lighter or a little bit more see-through than what your original image was.